Hello and welcome back to Elise Reads and Speaks, and welcome to this day 6 of the 12 days of Vlogmas. Today I am ranking my book club picks from worst to best in the year of 2021. We read a bunch of things this year. I think I was the only person in book club that liked most of what we read, so I think that's pretty good. When I was ranking them, I was like, there's like 3 or 4 that I really didn't like, or there was one in particular that I didn't even remember that we read, so that didn't bode well for that one. All right, I will start off by saying that one of my picks that I had already read before is in the #1 slot. I talk about this book countless times on my channel, so I feel like I need to count it out immediately, and that is Invisible Differences. We read this one in January of 2021, and you know that I love this one. I talk about this one all the time. I feel like it's unfair that it takes the #1 spot, so I'm just gonna count this one out, and the remaining 11 books will be books that I had not read before. So I'm ranking the remaining from 12 to #2, because if I switch it from 11 to 1, I'm just gonna confuse myself. So 12 to #2 for the books that I had not yet read before. In the #12 spot was Tess of the Road by Rachel Hartmann. I rarely DNF books. I always feel the need to get to the end. I always want to give a book a good try, and if I get to the end and I still hate it, then, you know, so be it. I tried. I listened to the audiobook of this one and I just could not get into it. Like, I thought the beginning was good. The beginning started off strong. And then as I kept reading, I was like, I'm not absorbing this. I'm not enjoying it. It's just like going in one ear and out the other. And it wasn't one of those books that I was like, you know what, let me try it physically. It was one of those books that I was just like, I really want nothing to do with this. I want to DNF it and never touch it again. And that is intense for me because I never DNF things. So I feel like that one rightfully deserves the #12 slot. #11 I have talked about on this channel. Well, #11 to #2, I have read all of them, okay? Like I read all of them from start to finish. And the #11 slot is Elatsoe by Darcie Little Badger. I know, this one is really loved on BookTube. A lot of people are super into this one. I just didn't enjoy it. Again, I enjoyed the girl's relationship with her dog, her ghost dog. You know, her dog dies and she brings it back to life, and that part spoke to me. But that was it. I wasn't into it, and I gave that one 2 stars. In the #10 slot, I'm giving to a book that I gave 3 stars, but I completely forgot that we read it. So I feel like if I forget that we have read your book, you deserve to be further down on the list. It's just that I didn't give you 2 stars and I didn't DNF you, which is why you got the #10 slot. And that one goes to More Than Maybe by Erin Hahn. Listen, I'll tell you, I didn't remember reading it, and I don't remember much of what happens. I remember it was 2 kids in high school that were really into the music scene, and then we were supposed to believe that she was this like revered music reviewer or something like that adults would pay attention to, which was completely impossible. Like, that just would not happen, you know? But that's about it. I think the guy was British, or at least he was British on the audiobook. Yeah, that's about it for what I remember. The '9 spot goes to The Project by Courtney Summers. This was a little bit of a bizarre book, but it has stuck with me a bit more than maybe. This was the book that was dealing with the cults, and like she was looking for her sister and she was against cults, but then as she got into more interviewing this guy that was in the cult that her sister was in, she was like, oh, it's not a cult, it's great. And it portrayed how people get sucked in. I thought that was interesting, but the book itself was just, it was weird. I remember thinking it was weird. And I think 2 sisters going and ending up with the same guy is weird. That was a weird book. And the #8 spot was Mind Games by Shanna Silver. So this one I had high expectations for because it was a YA sci-fi. It seemed like it'd be up my alley with this girl and this guy not having memories of the past couple months and trying to figure out what happened to their memories. Like, it seems like it would be a book for me. It just had all this built up potential, and by the time I got to the end, I was kind of disappointed with where it went. That's not to say that I didn't enjoy it. Like, I actually did like this book. I think I might have been the only person in book club that did like this book. But it was just one of those with potential that didn't use it to the fullest, you know? And I will say that I read it physically, and I have no idea how people could possibly listen to this audiobook, because when she's retrieving her memories, they're told backwards. And I can only imagine listening to that on the audiobook, where you're like listening to a chronological time, and then all of a sudden it starts going backwards, and like it's talking about a memory, and the memory is going backwards to forwards. Like I think that would have blew my mind, and I would have hated it. So if you have the inkling to read this book, don't listen to the audiobook. I think you're setting yourself up for failure. Try the physical book, and maybe you'll enjoy it like me. Now, the one in my number 7 spot, I'm actually surprised by. I'm going with House in the Cerulean Sea by TJ Klune. The reason I'm surprised by this is because everyone was recommending this to me. Everyone said I would love it, and I'm just surprised that, you know, books 1 through 12, I'm giving this the number 7 spot. I think I gave this like a 3.5 rounded up because the audiobook just wasn't holding my attention a lot. There were things in here that I did like Chauncey, like there were really cute things in here. It just, I think my expectations were so high, and I just didn't get to that level of excitement. However, as you see, I'm still holding the physical book. Like, it's still on my shelf because I feel like one day I will want to go back and read the physical book and see if I connect with it more. Maybe I won't. We will see what happens. I don't know, but I'm just surprised that a book this revered and loved in the book community is getting number 7 on my list. In the number 6 spot is All Your Twisted Secrets by Diana Urban. I know. I can't believe I'm rating this one higher than House in the Cerulean Sea either, but it held my attention so much more. Like, I was into this. When we got to the big reveal of what happened, I was not a big fan of that. Like, I'm gonna be honest. I really wanted that to go in a different direction because the story had held my attention the entire time. I just wanted a bigger reveal, a bigger deal at the end. And it was like, I don't know, a lot of it didn't make sense when we got to the end. I know that I should be rating this one lower, but I feel like if I was enjoying my time, like having this enjoyable reading experience, then it has to be a little higher than ones that I was just confused by, you know? In the number 5 spot, I went with Paper Girls of Paris by Jordyn Taylor. This was the historical fiction that was told in dual timelines. Like, in one timeline, it was this girl with a romance that really didn't need to happen. But in the other timeline, she was learning about her aunt, who was a spy for the French Rebellion, which was super interesting. Like, I found out that a lot of things with the French Resistance that I just hadn't been privy to before with World War II books that I've read. So I was interested in that part. I felt like that book should have just been the aunt's perspective because I felt like the modern day perspective I just wasn't into. But the book itself, I mean, I enjoyed my time, and I believe I gave that one 4 stars. In the number 4 spot is Damsel by Elana K. Arnold. This book has stuck with me. It was bizarre. It was weird, okay? Like, they keep referring to his member as his yard, okay? Like, that happens a lot. It happens a lot. But it didn't really irk me. I don't know. If anything, I felt like it put me more in that setting, in that atmosphere, like this, almost like a dystopian fairy tale kind of world. And I really like the feminism that was in here, like how girls were just expected to be subservient to their male counterparts. And as this girl starts questioning her spot in the kingdom and not having these memories, and she's just kind of told to shut up and do what she's told, I don't know. There was just a lot in here that I felt really needed some good unpacking. It causes some good discussions. I was just into this. It's that age-old story of like prince saves princess from dragon and the aftermath. However, it's like a darker turn of that. Like, the prince is an ass, and the girl that's saved doesn't really want to be in this kingdom that she was put into after being saved. I know a lot of people find this to be a polarizing book. People either seem to love or hate this one. I'm just happy to be in the camp that loved it. In my number 3 spot is Love is for Losers by Wibke Brugman. This one was the one with the British humor. There was lesbian rep in it. They worked at a thrift store. There was just a group of eclectic characters that were kind of like a found family in this thrift store. And I loved it. I love this one. I think I would read this one again. And the final one in my number 2 spot for all the books, and number 1 for the books that I had not yet read, is Girl Made of Stars by Ashley Herring Blake. This one I gave 5 stars. I loved this. I wouldn't say that I exactly liked what happened in this book because it was a really hard-hitting book, and the guy that performed the sexual assault, his name was Owen, and my kid's name is Owen, and that was just kind of weird to read about. But this is one of those books that stuck with me. I mean, I was like crying by the time that I got to the end of it because just some of the things in here were so powerful. Like, what would you do if someone you loved did something like this? Would you be strong enough to stand up for the other person that they assaulted? How would you feel? Like, I don't know. It posed a lot of interesting questions, and I just, it's one of those ones that will stick with me. This was a really, really good book. So as you see, I liked most of the books that we read. And out of the 9 of us in book club, I'm pretty sure I was the only one that liked most of them. But you know what? That is the good thing about being so easy to please. Most of the time, I'm probably gonna enjoy what we pick in book club more than other people that have very distinct tastes. I'm just kind of like wide open, and I will just be game for anything. All right, that's all that I've got for you today. Thank you for tuning in to Elise Reads and Speaks on this 6th day of Vlogmas, and I will catch you tomorrow when I go over the books that we have picked for 2022 in book club. Catch you next time, guys. Bye.